Hi, my name is Al Green. Not that one, but the struggling guy who was in the music industry for years trying to sell talent and songs to agents. The agents befriended me and taught me techniques that I want to pass on to you through my program, which is called You Can Talk, You Can Sell. Anyone who has ever taken this program has excelled in selling and either risen to the top of their company, their team, or the top of their field. It's called You Can Talk, You Can Sell, and you can get it right here. How good at you remembering other people's names? Do people remember your name? How do they do that? We as humans have a tendency to meet a person, we introduce each other by name, and you turn around and you look at the wall, and 20 seconds later you can't remember their name. Happens to a lot of people. So a little technique that's a lot of fun, and I mean this is to relate them to a celebrity or a famous person. Just pick a name. If you have any kind of a name at all, you can always pick it. You know, like I met a guy named Jerry. Hi, my name's Al. What's your name? He says, my name's Jerry. Oh, Jerry, like Jerry Seinfeld, for example. A lot of times I'll have fun with it and go, yeah, like Jerry Seinfeld, or they might give you another name. If you get into any kind of a situation, you could name celebrities, actors, you could name authors, you could name people in the news, you could name politicians, anybody. But if you relate to a person that way, usually they'll kind of go with it and have fun. And that's a great way to remember them. Another technique that really is helpful for you is when you meet a person, note the color of their eyes. So if you meet a person whose name is, let's say, Mark, and you'll go, Mark like Mark Cuban or Mark like Mark Wahlberg. One of them has a K, the other one has a C. Oh yeah, like Mark Cuban. Great. So then you look at him and go, oh, Mark Cuban with the blue eyes. Yeah, how you doing? Okay, Mark, right? And then, believe it or not, they're thinking that you're finding a way to make them special. And it's a lot of fun, too, because you can think of a lot of names. Jerry Seinfeld. Just pick any name. George, you can go George Washington. You can go George Clooney. You could say George Costanza. It doesn't matter. It doesn't even have to be a real person. It could just be a character. Meet a person named Harry. Oh, Harry like Harry Potter. Oh yeah, Harry Potter. Believe it or not, the next time you see that person, you're going to remember their name. But if you don't do something like that, that sticks it in your mind, you're probably going to turn around, and by the time you get back to your car, you're not going to remember the person's name. It's been done many times. What happens to me is I meet a lot of people that are the same type of a person. A woman about 5'5" with long black hair. One of them has one name, the other one has a different name, and I often made the mistake of confusing them because I didn't delineate which one was which by any particular reason. I met a gal by the name of Samantha. She worked with a relief gal on a different day of the week, also named Samantha. I couldn't go wrong if I called either of them Samantha, but I started saying Savannah. Okay. When a woman looks at you and says, what did you say my name was? They're like, are you you're not in your right mind? Oh my God, it's just amazing what happens, especially if you're a man. Now, if you're a woman, a lot of times women seem to do better when it comes to remembering names. Don't ask me why, don't ask me how, but they do, and they don't always need some kind of a mnemonic to remember a person's name. But when you remember a person's name, it takes a lot of weight off of your shoulders, and it saves that awkward situation for the next time that you see them. If you can think of anybody that's famous, anybody at all that's known, and the name is common, you go to meet a purchasing agent, and she introduced herself as Ellen. She might not say her last name. She may put her hand out to shake yours, or she might just say, oh, my name's Ellen. Ellen, like Ellen DeGeneres, okay? Now, by the way, I've never met anybody else named Oprah, but I always wanted to. There are so many different ways you could play with a person's name playfully and respectfully without insulting them and without worrying about how are you going to remember them the next time you see them. Salespeople, a lot of times, will struggle. And you'll hear them in the hall talking. And they'll say, oh, I was over at ABC, and I was talking to this guy. Oh, my God, there's a Jerry there, and there's a Rick there. I can't remember which one I was talking to. Was it Jerry or Rick? And they're not putting it in their mind. Now, the next time they go there, they might automatically clue in, but they might also call the person by the wrong name. We all have situations like that where we do things like that, so don't feel bad. It's just something that we do. But to be socially correct, it's better if you could relate to a name of somebody that everybody is knowing the name of. Who are the most famous people? I don't think I'm going to meet anybody named Eminem or Snoop Dogg. It's probably not going to happen. But years ago, I did meet a young man by the name of Barack. That was his name. Do you think I could ever forget him? Okay? Absolutely not. That is just one of those things that it just happens. You run into it. You run into people who have the exact name as a celebrity. I had a customer years ago whose name happened to be Sofia Vergara. Okay, not the celebrity, but that was her name. Believe me, you don't forget that. A lot of people remembered me because I go by Al Green. And if they didn't, then I could give them a name of somebody else. So let's say, for example, that your name, your first name, is synonymous with somebody famous. You can say it to them so they remember you. Because what you want is you want to never forget your customer, but you don't want them to ever forget you. So why not have some fun with it? Who's the most famous person that you know that everybody else knows? If your name is Sandra, you can go to a company to meet a guy named Rick, and you can say to yourself, my name is Sandra, and he can say, hi Sandra, my name's Rick, and you're going to go, yeah, it's Sandra, like Sandra Bullock, for example. That's kind of an easy way for him to go, oh yeah, that's right. And then he might even say something like, do you ever get confused with Sandra Bullock? And you can always joke around and say, well, not lately. Okay. Believe it or not, those kind of little introductions stand out because they're jovial, they're fun, and they're completely useful tools, and nobody realizes that you're using a tool. But remembering a name is one of the most important things that you can do. And if you could just relate to anybody famous, it's very, very easy to remember who people are. Not every name is going to be somebody famous. You might have some names out there that are just not. There just happens to be nobody you can think of who's very famous, but they are out there. You could use any of the celebrities that you see on TV at night. Guy's named James, you could say, oh, James, like James Corden. Yeah, absolutely, okay? People usually rise up and they perk up when you tell them things like that, and it's a lot of fun. Those are more of the techniques because when you talk to people by their name, they feel that you are acknowledging them and validating who they are as a person. Everybody wants that. Everybody wants to be remembered. Nobody wants to be forgotten. And it's been done. There are times you have to say, I'm terribly sorry. What was your name again? That does happen. Sometimes people are okay with that, and sometimes they're not. How are you going to know? How are you really going to know? What are some of the things that people respond to? A lot of people, everybody's different. You can go up to a customer and say, do you mind if I ask you a question? They'll usually say, no, go right ahead, and then you ask them a question. There are people who are offended if you say that to them. Well, aren't you already asking me a question? And they get smart alecky with you. So building rapport and getting closer to people to build that rapport is done by a lot of familiarity. But if you also show them that you're kind of out to have a good time with a lot of the techniques that you use, that's only going to work in your favor. Because who's going to forget you? Who's going to forget Sandra if she reminds somebody of Sandra Bullock just by the name, even though you don't have to look like Sandra Bullock? There's a lot of techniques like this. A lot of them. Who are the most famous people that you would like to know or that you know of that are making the headlines? Chris, you could say Chris Rock, okay, like I mentioned. There's a lot of other people that have made it to the headlines that you can remember. Just tons of them. There's one, I hate to say that a lot of the comedians that you see are not always the kind of people that people want to be related to as far as associated by name. Because some of them are not exactly doing the kind of comedy that everybody likes, but still, if they're famous enough, you can do it. You can get away with it. There's, recently we lost a very famous comedian, Gilbert Gottfried. Somebody says her name is Gilbert. That should be an easy enough to remember name, but you can always go, oh, like Gilbert Gottfried. And they can go, yeah. And then you guys could talk about the loss or whatever. But you relate on every level that you can keep it common, keep it easy, and they won't realize you're using a tool to make sure that you stand out to them. And that's one of the most fun things about sales, is that you're using a technique and nobody realizes it's something that you studied and you're putting it in motion. It just looks like this is who you are, the fun person, out to have a good time. So enjoy that.